Warrant to Board of Alderman meeting. If you would, please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'd like to start off with an introduction. Do you want me to go ahead and do that, Randy?
Yes. I'd like to introduce to you Brant Johnson. He just recently started with us on the 23rd in the Grounds and Maintenance Department at $14.50 an hour.
Welcome, Brant.
Welcome, Brant. Next will be the consent agenda items.
We have the regular meeting minutes from January 21st, 2020.
Entertaining approval for the consent agenda items as submitted.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Schultz. Roll call vote.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz,
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey,
Yes.
Alderman Dreyer,
Yes.
Alderman Hawk,
Yes.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Next is hearing from the public. If you have something you'd like to discuss, we ask that you come to the podium, state your name. We'll give you 5 minutes to speak. Not seeing anybody?
We can call it the hearing from Fred.
Yeah, one of the two.
Would y'all like to come forward and speak? Sing, Adam.
Tap dance.
Who would Next, we'll hear from Alderman. Anyone?
On.
There it is.
Oh. I just hope that the public is considerate of our officers and our road crews. If in fact they are trying to deal with lots of snow. So.
I think the last one said 5 inches, 6 inches, possibly, in our area. Who knows? It's Missouri, though. It could be 18, it could be 1.
Yeah, if you don't have to go out, just stay home.
That's the truth. I would agree with that. Anyone else?
Good advice that nobody's going to listen to, but turns out classes are canceled for tomorrow for school.
Already?
Yeah, already. Just got the message.
You're going to be going till August.
Hey, I'm okay. My house will be clean tomorrow. Got newly assigned chores.
Send one of your kids over to my house.
Well, we can do that too. Close enough. Oh, is that not right to say on here? Is that like child labor laws? Yeah, more ways than one. Don't we all know that? Anybody else? Move on to hear from Director of Operations, Randy Walters.
Excuse me, good evening. I have a couple things for you tonight. The first thing is we have the planning meeting for all of you guys next Wednesday the 12th at 4:30, and that's going to be here in the chamber. And I also announced that the Fall Festival is September 26th, and we just recently signed the contract for Poco, Pure Prairie League, and Orleans to be here. All 3 of them.
Oh, my Jack. What was the first name of the band?
Poco.
Popo.
He's got a Poco shirt on.
This is how we're making the announcement. All right, turn around, sing it else.
Poco.
That's all I have.
Matt?
Well, I would just like to, comment. Brandy done, and this was all Brandy really, but she got 3 of them, and it's probably less money than what we paid for the first year that we had 38 special. So she did a really good job. I think it'll be a little longer show since you'll have 3 groups, but it'll tie in closer to the end of Butch Wax's show and the main stage show. So, you know, it'll keep the crowd around and everything like that. And
You're going to say the main stage will start earlier because...
yes.
Okay.
We have not confirmed that.
Huh?
We have not confirmed
Well,
that.
we've not confirmed, but that's what we want to do since we're not...
There's kind of a gap always there between Butchwhacks and...
So we don't want to go too late at night, though. So I think, and these bands, I've seen them several times. I think they'll be pretty easy to work with too. I think they're so. She's done a really bang-up job on this one. I think so.
Good job.
Good
Way to go. On top of doing your other duties, so thank you.
That's all I have.
Excellent. Next, we'll hear from Finance Officer Dana Velasca.
Good evening. We have before you a list of claims for your approval tonight. Claims total $226,285.91. Were there any questions on those list of claims?
The Omnigo software, is that the ITI?
Yes,
Is that
it
the
is.
police software?
Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $226,285.91.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Miller, and we'll go with seconded by Alderman Dyer. Roll call vote.
Alderman Schultz,
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey,
Yes.
Alderman Dyer,
Yes.
Alderman Ock,
Yes.
Alderman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next item on the agenda are the December financials. You probably noticed that in the general fund, the revenue is a little bit low for this month compared to budget, focusing more on sales tax and property tax. So I have seen the reporting for January already, and I will tell you that as of January reporting, we are at budget numbers. So again, that was just a timing issue. General fund expenses, about $468,000 below budget. Again, key item is personnel, $154,000 below budget. Pool, again, is operating below the initial budget. In the water and sewer fund, you'll notice revenue is about $250,000 above budget. So a couple issues there. One, we have more housing sooner than we expected, so we are generating higher water and sewer revenues each month. We have some industrial sewer that had some high bills, although it's starting to level off a little bit now. And then the connection fees, and mostly I think again because some of the new construction happened a little sooner than we intended. So water sewer revenues, water sewer operating expenses, again the same type of areas. You have personnel costs that are a little below budget, and then the rest are supplies, maintenance, again things we still expect to spend yet this year in those areas. Questions regarding those financials?
I guess the question I had for Terry, and I don't know if she talked to you about the capital sales tax fund. Year to date is deficit almost $200,000, but there's no issue there.
No, it was just a fund balance reserve that they spent toward the debt service payment.
Okay.
It's just a timing issue on debt service. The next item on the agenda is the reporting for economic development sales tax. So again, when the decision was made to get financing for the new overpass, one of the taxes was the economic development tax, and it does require annual reporting to the state regarding the amount brought in under that tax, and the debt service related expenses. So it's just a statement of that.
So if we read this right, this is just the sales tax from the outlet center? Is that?
No.
No.
This is, you passed two new sales taxes
so
when you did the overpass. This is one of them. This one requires that reporting.
Okay.
You also passed a capital one also. So this
Okay.
is half of the activity related to that new sales tax. Any questions on that? Okay. The other was just a reminder that there'll be a Ways and Means Committee meeting on March 3rd at 5 p.m., a work session. So
Next, we'll hear from Chief of Police, Larry Ellard.
Good evening. I just have one item for you tonight. That's to request approval for the application, again, of a DWI saturation grant, and that's through MoDOT's traffic enforcement and safety. So basically, it's going to require your signatures this evening stating that you do approve of our request for money from MoDOT for DWI saturation.
Explain to me what DWI saturation is.
Basically, what this grant will do is pay for, it'll reimburse the city for the overtime accrued by officers going out, and those specific officers' only responsibility is to look for and make DWI stops. They're not answering calls. The only thing they're out doing is looking for impaired drivers.
In the whole framework of the city, or just on the main, like
In the whole
Highway
framework of
47?
anywhere in the city limits.
Anywhere in the city limits.
They will not be on duty. On-duty officers, extra this.
Okay. Oh,
See, I really, I'm getting to where I'm starting to have a problem with this issue, because nationally you see where distracted driving has become probably a worse issue than DWIs anymore. And we don't seem to be doing anything to the phone while you're driving, or texting while you're driving. And I see more incidents out here in the daytime. Just the other day, you see people running red lights, and I know they're unaware that they even run a red light, but they got their phone in their ear, or they're texting at the stoplight and the light changes and they sit there and nobody, you know, that's where I really, what do we need to do to draw attention to that problem? It seems like we're always, and I don't want to say picking on it, because I know we don't want impaired drivers out there either, but it seems
You're right,
like,
that is a major problem, Mike.
it seems like that. And we have a saturation time for DWIs. When are we going to have one for drugs? You know, we got residential areas in our city where it seems like they have a, for lack of a better term, like the fast food restaurants, they have a drive-up window. They can drive up there, stop, jump out, and so when are we going to address those issues, I guess, is what my question is. And I don't know. I know, Larry, probably you don't have an answer for it or anything, but is there anything down the road that we can do to?
Certainly, this isn't the only grant for overtime that exists. We can definitely look into possibilities for further funding for enforcement or distracted.
That's right.
This one in particular tonight that's up for your approval. This one is just for DWI saturation.
Well, Counselor, what are the state laws relative to distracted driving?
I'm glad you asked that question, Alderman Ock. We have looked in the past at a no texting while driving ordinance. The problem you have is, how do you prove somebody was texting, or how do you prove, you know, obviously you can say, well, I saw him on his phone. Why was, you know, there are issues that come into play. We obviously, you can drive down the highway. On my way home, I'll see people watching movies while they're driving, and they're driving too slow on the highway, or they're moving in and out of traffic. And I asked the chief, we've done some, you know, traffic movement grants before, and then we've got some pushback from the public, but how you really deal with the distracted driving is step up your traffic enforcement. Fail to maintain a single lane. One of the most dangerous traffic movements that people don't realize is following another vehicle too close, because that pretty much guarantees if there's any sudden stop, you're going to have an accident. And, you know, we have emphasized traffic safety, because that's really how you deal with, in my opinion, texting while driving is because typically they're committing traffic offenses. Hence, to your point, Alderman Harvey is they're driving terribly because they're distracted. Proving the distraction, whether it's on their radio or on their cell phone, really is not ultimately the concern. It's curbing the behavior of the bad driving and the unsafe driving. And I think we can come up with some strategies to have some, sometimes it's demographically driven with regards to texting while driving or texting. But there is no state statute. We can pass a texting ban. In other cities that have texted it, they don't write a lot of tickets for it because, if we file a charge for texting while driving, I technically need to prove that they had their phone and they were sending a text message. Short of a seizure of the phone and a search warrant and a subpoena to the phone company, I think, Scott, you'd appreciate that, Mary, you'd appreciate that. You kind of make your job harder instead of just saying you failed to maintain a single lane or you filed too close. Those are the two typical, I don't know if you'd agree with that, Chief, but the two typical traffic safety movement concerns we have. And you typically have it in a sequence of following too close, driving too slow, and we do try to, and fail to maintain a single lane, we do try to, write those summonses. It just may not look at it on its face because it doesn't say texting while driving. That's how we've dealt with it. We've looked at it in the past with the texting. It sounds good to say we have a ban on texting while driving. Other states that have successfully done it have basically banned any use of the phone in the passenger, vehicle. You have to be on like a Bluetooth or whatnot. That's an easier way to, enforce it. But the state has not authorized us to ban cell phone use in the vehicles as
A lot of them
now.
have gone to hands-free devices only.
Well, yeah, you're required hands-free, and if you are seen touching your phone, then you don't have to prove the texting. Then you don't have to prove, all the additional things. I saw your phone in your hand. That's what violates the ordinance or statute.
Okay, we've applied for this grant in the past. We've received this. So approximately how much money did we receive? So if you break this down into hours spent with officers doing just DWI, how many officers do we have sitting out there? Just ballpark, Chief. I know you.
I believe the last time we operated this, we had 2 officers running it, and we left some of the money unused. Because of manpower shortage, we just couldn't get the extra guys out on the road.
I think, Mike and I, we've had discussions about this before. Does this mean since it is grant money, is this a situation where we're going to have officers sitting outside bars
We don't sit outside bars to watch the bars.
Well, we don't hardly have any bars, but
Restaurants or anything else?
yeah.
A lot of times, I've received complaints of that. I know I've witnessed it. If you're sitting up the street, if you're sitting right across the street from a bar, that is considered entrapment, and it can usually get the case thrown out. But if you're sitting up the street, that, let's say, with the distance of eyesight, that you're not sitting there watching the person go to the car, but they drive around the corner and they make a wide turn, which is one of the 90 percentiles of a DWI, that's fair. That's able to be stopped because they're proceeding on their own. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Anytime we've received a complaint about an officer just what I call cherry picking, sitting outside of a bar or restaurant, we've watched the video. I've watched the video with the chief, and I've not seen a video yet that is consistent with the statement that, well, they're just sitting right across the street. Now I'm watching a specific incident, somebody references this or whatnot, and, the good thing is, having the video replay in the cars, it takes a little time to find it because there's so much data, but when we do, I have not seen one, because that's an allegation we take seriously. That's something that the board's made it clear we're not in the business of just sitting there and racking up numbers. There are no quotas. We're not trying to write DWIs. And I was talking with the chief because I thought at the last saturation grant we didn't write a DWI. Nobody was arrested for driving while intoxicated. you know, it just has the extra officers on patrol. And to the question about drugs, I think, you know, we have the fortunate experience of two officers that have both been on the road at one point in their careers. Sometimes the best way to make the initial contact into a drug situation is a traffic stop, finding drugs on them, talking to them about it, where is it at, whatnot. So, you know, every law enforcement contact can lead to, you know, helping to assist in minimizing or eliminating the drug problem. Because, like, if there's a drug house, we may not be able to get a search warrant to go into the house, but certainly if that person driving away commits a traffic violation, you will have probable cause at that point to pull them over, regardless of where they're coming from or where they're going.
Larry, one question, and this is mainly for the public. I want to. We talk about a saturation grant, and so what you need to make clear, I guess, for the public, this does not mean we're going to have the checkpoint, the saturation checkpoints. That's one of the things I think that sometimes people hear about us doing a saturation thing, and I think they take it that it's going to be a checkpoint. So I don't think you ever do that with this.
Our ultimate goal, obviously, I would love to have 0 impaired drivers on the road. So the way that this works is, during predetermined times when manpower allows, 2 officers will be out. Their sole duty that night is to make stops based on traffic violations they observe, looking for impaired drivers. We, as a matter of fact, would probably broadcast this on social media that, hey, this weekend we're doing DWI saturation. There's no roadblock. There's just extra police out looking for impaired drivers.
Okay.
I don't think there's been a roadblock since.
I don't remember one in the history of 20
yeah,
years. 20-something years I've never.
But I think, they don't maybe see it here, but they see it in some of the bigger populated areas. So they assume when they hear about saturation, they think, well, that's going to be a checkpoint and stuff like that. So, but I agree. I don't think we've ever had one here.
To go to his comments, the stops that these officers are making during the saturation activity is based on lane violations, equipment violations, turning movement, following too close. Everything that you were indicating was for distracted driving is also an indicator of impaired driving.
Well, I'll be the first to admit I'm guilty of it. I had a call from an individual that claimed he didn't get a ticket, but I think Chris and probably Larry, I think they reviewed it and everything, and the patrolman that did it followed everything to the letter. But the guy, when he told me his story, it was a little bit different than what the video and everything showed.
The video never lies.
So these things, yeah. So just be forewarned, because I've opened my mouth on it,
and I want to say, if the public has those complaints, that's why we have that system there. It has not always been that the citizen was not telling the truth. We had an individual who has been in a lot of trouble in Warren County a couple of years ago. It was probably a year and a half ago, that came in and said, I had this interaction with this individual. I know that the mayor knows who I'm talking about, and it sounded incredible, unbelievable that a Warrenton officer would interact in the way that he did. And we pulled the video, and gosh darn, he was absolutely right. Our officer was in the wrong, acted inappropriately, and we took immediate disciplinary action. So, we take all those comments seriously, and I'd rather watch the video and say, hey, we're okay, than, to not follow through, because there are those situations, and, we do want to catch them. And I know the Chief's Department does random audits of the video, even without complaints, so we use that to make sure that, try to make sure that the guys are doing it the right way.
My other comment was, if the overtime rate with taxes and everything thrown in is $40 an hour. It's a $5,000 grant. You're talking about 125 hours. You spread that over a year. That's not a lot of time out there doing this. If it's $50 an hour, it's 100 hours of work toward this project. So it's not like we're trying to saturate the financial limitations of the grant, limit how much time this could be applied to what we're doing too.
We're only asking for an amount that we think we can actually field people to cover, which is, as you just pointed out, it's not a lot over a year.
So just a couple comments on that. Number one, I appreciate what you said because that's exactly how it is. We get these phone calls and we get their side of the story. And you want to believe, you want to support what they're saying and try and at least look into it. And exactly what you said in going through that process. Hey, have them review it, check it, and then I'll go back and comment to it. That's what we do. Now, on occasion, on that rare occasion, we do get the officer that needs to be disciplined for our actions. But I would say the majority of the time, it's probably a different story when we watch the video. The great thing about the video is, though, anybody that wants to complain about it, we can invite you down to watch the video. And it usually, once you invite somebody down, in my experience, the comments usually, no thank you, it's okay, I'll leave it alone. But, you know, when we eat it, when it's our problem, we've owned up to it. I mean, that's part of that transparency we talked about, that we keep going and keep doing. So we stay committed to it.
My comments to the chief for the public's benefit, not because I'm questioning our police department. You know, there are people who
speculate.
Yes. So I appreciate your response.
You know, I do. The other thing that Alderman Sharvey said that does ring so true is it just takes one individual to say it's a checkpoint they're setting up somewhere, and all of a sudden that's all it is, and that's the gospel. You're correct. It's good to clarify exactly what that is so that people know it. So, and if there's no more questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve and to apply for the DWI saturation grant.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, seconded by Alderman Sharvey. Roll call vote.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Dyer?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy?
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. As far as I know, and maybe I shouldn't comment, but I will, I don't believe the DWI saturation grant imposes on anybody's liberties as we're doing that, so I hope that that's okay. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to close the regular Board of Alderman meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Dyer. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are so adjourned.
I think closing is